Hey there, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about how to protect your knees when you're dancing tango. It is a really common complaint I hear from dancers, and there are a few things technically that you want to keep in mind to keep your knee healthy. So I'm going to talk about foot alignment for both leading and following, but realize that whether you follow or lead, it's going to be pretty much the same in terms of the kinds of rules you want to follow. It's just when you're leading versus following, there's certain movements you do more than others, and so it's going to affect you differently when it comes to your knee health. Now, when it comes to leading, the most common mistake that I see that can cause quite a bit of issues in the knee is on the step back when the leader is taking a step back and opening to a turn. So let's say if I am going to step back here and open to a turn to the side, for example. Or with the other foot, if I'm going here. So for an ocho cortado, for example, if I'm going quick, quick, slow, quick, quick, slow. So you're taking those back steps all the time as a leader. Very often, if you watch what happens to this foot when I'm taking a step back, because I'm already thinking that I'm going to be turning, very often this foot turns in here. And so when you're taking a step back, it's like you're already anticipating that you'll be turning. So you're allowing your foot to already turn in when you step back this way. This moment here is a very precarious moment for your knee, because the knee joint is not actually designed to have any sort of rotation. It's really meant to hinge. There's nothing else. There's maybe a tiny bit of range that it has for kind of a little bit of torque, but you really don't want to abuse that range. So imagine doing this kind of rotation a few thousand times over a period of years. Then you will eventually start having a little bit of issues, perhaps. And sometimes those issues go up to the hips and your lower back. So one thing you want to keep in mind is that anytime you step back as a leader, when you're rotating to the side, the first thing you want to do is step straight back. So here you see how I've stepped straight behind myself. I didn't turn my foot, and then I turned to open. So in case of leading something like ocho cortado, I go quick, quick, slow. I step behind myself and then I open instead of quick, quick, slow. Do you see the difference? So this is very important that anytime you take a back step in your mind, you got to say to yourself, step straight back first as much as possible. Now for followers, this is not as pronounced, but this is something that I noticed in my own dance, and I'm still working on it. It's a very interesting detail that I really think if you were to make a video of yourself and find these little moments where you're doing this, it would be really helpful for you to know that. So what happens for followers a lot of times is on the back step, when I'm stepping back, for example, going around my partner, I'm going back, side, forward, a very common pattern for the followers. So the leader is on your right and you're just going back, side, forward. Now, here's once again this opportunity where it's possible for a follower to sickle the foot at this place already. And as a beginner, you would have gotten instruction on how to prevent that from happening. And I always say, when you're reaching back, just reaching with the ball mount, as if I have a pencil on the inside of my ball mount and I'm drawing with it. I'm pushing sand away. I'm drawing with a line with it. So let's say I'm going into that back step and I should be landing so that my foot does not reach the sickling point. So I'm not here, I'm stepping here. And that would put my axis to this place. But what happens a lot of times is that we'll be reaching the foot correctly this way, and then at the very last moment, we'll sickle the foot and go here. So now, instead of me stepping straight behind myself, Now I've gotten a little bit further, so I've reached out and then I sickled the foot, and now I'm actually landing a little bit in a different spot. What that little difference does is it changes the geometry of your steps. It elongates your step, and it actually places you slightly in a different place where you were going naturally. So that little detail might actually create some imbalance because you're going further or over-rotating in your body and taking a step that's a little bit bigger than what you need. So you want to watch out for that as a follower. Now, the torque that you might be creating on your knee is not so big. However, because you're reaching too far and that step is a little bit too big, you might start feeling that you're struggling to collect on certain steps, and you're having to use some of your lower back muscles, some of the compensation in the hips to get to the next step. So one of the suggestions I always give to followers is really getting used to that sensation of only stepping where the foot is going to land naturally. So I'm looking for a very comfortable extension. I'm landing where my ball mound is pressing, and I'm transferring my foot there, and watching that I don't also create this little bit of sickling at the end. It's hard to catch it on your own, so I definitely recommend that you shoot some video of yourself and watch for that moment. Maybe even slow it down, go slow motion, and see if it's happening. Now, the last place I'll mention where a torquing of the knee can happen quite a bit is, of course, in the pivoting, whether you're leading or following. What you want to make sure is that your knee and your foot are rotating at the same rate. So for example, if I'm about to take a pivot on my left foot here, and instead of pivoting on my whole leg, I allow myself to pivot with my upper body first, but leave my foot here. At this moment, there's a little bit of torque on my knee, because I feel a force through my upper leg going down and drilling, and it's going through my knee. So what might happen is that you end up kind of getting stuck and then pivoting after you transferred. So there's a little bit of that torque on the knee during your weight transfer at this point. So what you want to do is always make sure once you step on the foot and you're about to pivot, that you're pivoting the whole leg at once. Right, that it's moving. There's no distinction at this point between the rotation in the upper leg or lower leg. It all moves as one. Whether you're leading or following, you always want to think about that. And I always even imagine that as I'm pivoting, as I'm stepping for a pivot, it's like I'm starting it in the ground and I'm allowing the body to follow from the ground up. Okay? No matter whether you're leading or following, you want to just reduce the amount of torque that might be happening on your knee. If you've made it this far and you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I invite you to click that subscribe button. I post a new tutorial every Saturday. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next week. Ciao.